In the last lecture, we were discussing about the semiconductor laser, and we have just discussed that how impurity has been added and what are the conditions which is required for this thing for lasing action in a semiconductor laser. In the last lecture, we just stopped here. From Now we'll start from population inversion. Now, population inversion is one of the important conditions which is required for the stimulated emission and consequent amplification of light. Now, the way in which population inversion is achieved in semiconductor, it is very different from the way it is established in other type of lasers. Okay, so there is a basic difference. A semiconductor is not a two-level atomic system, but it consists of electrons and holes distributed in respective energy band rather. So laser action in semiconductor involves energy band rather than discrete levels. Secondly, in many type of lasers, population inversion is obtained by exciting electrons in specially isolated atoms. Whereas in semiconductor, the excited electrons are not, it's not associated with a specific atom, but are injected into the conduction band from the external circuit. Therefore, the conduction band respectively, conduction band, it represents an excited state. Okay, so in semiconductor laser, the conduction band will represent an excited state, while the valence band plays the roles of the ground state. So the population inversion requires that there is a large concentration of electron in the conduction band and a large concentration of force in the valence band. A simple way of achieving population inversion is to use a semiconductor in the form of a p-n junction diode with heavily doped p and n type semiconductor. So to understand this population inversion, how it can be achieved, we should have a basic idea as far as p-n junction is concerned. So we just understand the formation of ordinary p-n junction. We just focus on this figure here. You can see either p-type here and n-type over here. What we can observe over here is that here the Fermi level in this p-type, it is closer to the valence band, okay, and the distance between Fermi level and the the conduction band. This is the conduction band, okay, and this is the valence band. So the distance between the Fermi level is very close to the valence band, just opposite over here. You can see that the Fermi level in the n-type, it is very close to the the conduction band, and it's far away from the valence band. So what happens is that when both p and n materials are joined, the equilibrium is attained only when the Fermi level EFP, this and EFN, okay, when these two attained a certain they come in the similar level, okay, or you can say that when both the levels are equalized in a when both p and n materials are joined, the energy levels in p energy here it moves up and here it will come down, okay. So a condition will be achieved where we can say that both are at are equalized. So the following something something happened in the course of action when this take place, and we can summarize it in a way like, number one is the electrons are larger in majority carrier. Now what we would like to do is that we'll just try to, rather than writing it over here, we just try to take the help of the diagram also. So we just focused on this particular diagram where we have just mentioned that energy band diagram of a p-n junction at equilibrium. What happened is that the electrons are larger, okay, you can see that the electrons are larger in number on n side. This is n side and this p side. So it is larger in number on n side and smaller in number on p side. So this will be the minority carrier and this will be the majority carrier. Similarly, you can see, okay, on the p side, here also holes are larger in the number on the p side and smaller in the number on the n side. So again, this will be the minority carrier and this will be the majority carrier. Thus there is a concentration gradient for majority carrier across the junction. Hence they tend to diffuse across this junction. So you can see here it's a depletion region. This is the p-n junction, this is the conduction hill, this is really the valence hill, this is valence band, this is the conduction band. You can see electron energy increases over here. Here the whole energy increases while it comes down. So going up, electron energy increases, coming down, whole energy increases. Secondly, the electron and holes diffuse in opposite direction. Okay, so the electron and hole, they diffuse in opposite direction. Therefore, narrow region around the junction is left with only immobile impurity atoms and neutral host. See, this is there in the semiconductor physics also, but then here we need to have an idea about this thing. So the immobile ions, basically this immobile ion which is not diffusing, okay, these are negative on the p side, okay, and positive on the n side. So positive on the n side, negative on the p side. You can see these are the minority carriers. This will act as a barrier. So the potential barrier further halts the movement of electron from n side to p side, and that of holes from p side to n side. As a result, a narrow depletion region devoid of mobile charges forms. So the mutual displacement of energy level on both sides of the junction causes a bending. You can see it causes a bending of energy bands around the junction region. Now, when the doping levels are very high, the Fermi level in P region will below the valence band. You can just see over here in the second diagram also. Here what we have done is that energy band diagram of a heavily doped p-n junction in equilibrium. What I mean in this case is that when the doping levels are very high, the Fermi level in p-type region. So this is the p-type region. You can see that the Fermi level in p-type region will be this is well below. They will be just below, in fact, just below the valence band. Okay, and will be above the conduction band. It is just above the conduction band. Okay, in n-type region. So in n-type region, it is just above the conduction band, and in the p-type region, it is just below the valence band. So the energy band diagram of the p-n junction formed between two heavily doped is shown in this particular figure. The probability of stimulated emission, even in this case, is low, because there must be a region of device where a large number of conduction electron has to be there in a conduction band and large number of holes has to be there in the valence band. So the condition is never realized in thermal equilibrium. So for that very particular purpose, what we do is that we need a biasing. So when the junction is forward biased with a large enough voltage, okay, so we'll just consider this particular case. Okay, what happens is this: electrons and holes, okay, are injected into the junction, okay, junction region in considerable concentration. In other words, carriers, see here, energy band of a heavily doped p-n junction under forward bias of a smaller magnitude. So what we can say, in other words, carriers are pumped by DC source. As a result, the region D over here, what we can say is, you can take just an example, this one, here also. See, the region D over here, okay, it contains a large concentration of electron within the conduction band and large concentration of holes within the valence band. So what we can say is that there is a large concentration, okay, of electrons in the conduction band and large concentration of holes in the valence band. This is the condition of population inversion which is required. Until and unless this happens, lasing action will not take place. Okay, so the narrower zone over which the population inversion occurs is called the inversion region, or this can also be termed as an active region. Okay, so what basically happens is that in this particular case, if the light is allowed to pass from the outside source, okay, which is very much equal to this energy gap, it in the process it brings down the electrons to the from the conduction band to the valence band. In the process, there will be a photon of the same energy band or same energy level, causing the amplification. So we'll just discuss this particular lasing action or lasing condition again in semiconductor in the next lecture. Until then, thank you very much.